Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Terrible, Terrible Coaching Advice. so, we're going to talk a little bit today about what the worst kind of advice, the worst advice you've ever gotten from a coach or mentor is. And why are we going to talk about that? Well, because in spite of all of us seemingly knowing better, the stuff keeps getting circulated. So, before we do anything else, let me just say to you, don't be afraid to run the other way from bad advice. Don't be afraid to trust your gut. Don't be afraid to second guess. If it just doesn't sound right, if it just doesn't make sense to you, don't be afraid to just not do it, to fire that coach and find help elsewhere. So, that having been said, let's talk a little bit about some of the most popular worst pieces of coaching advice that we've ever had. Let me tell you some of the ones that I've had. And this one is an all-time classic. This is on the top 10 list of all-time random, dumb, not founded in anything pieces of coaching advice ever. And that is double your prices right now. Double your prices right now with no context, with no explanation, with no just with nothing, right? Just double your prices right now. This one is so popular, I just can't see how it persists. Now, let's break it down a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit about kind of what they're getting at least I hope, giving these terrible mentors and coaches that we're now talking about the benefit of the doubt. The sort of kernel of truth in that often given but misunderstood piece of advice is it's easier to increase your income and your prestige and your sort of status by raising your prices than it is to work on your marketing and attraction. This is true. If you've got some degree of consistency with people coming to you or a way to attract people, then raising your prices is a powerful thing. But here's what almost everyone I've ever spoken with about this, myself included when I got this advice, here's what they don't tell you. You have to be ready. There's a process. There's a psychological, emotional process that you need to go through in order to raise prices. You need verification from the marketplace, right? And you need testimonials. You need results from people. And in every time I've talked to someone who has been given this advice, it's just been given out of any context. It's just been given as just raise your prices tomorrow. As if to say, and here's the thing, as if to say there's like a judgment in there of you, right? There's an implication in that statement when it's not backed up with any context that you don't believe in yourself, that somehow you're doing something wrong. Well, I've been in this game for a while. I've been in this game long enough to know that doubling your prices tomorrow and going through the process of what's called seeking price parity, parity, are two totally different things. Now, when you're just starting out, you might want to run beta programs. You might want to run founders programs. You might want to run, things like that. And those things are wonderful because you can start at a lower price. You can develop what you need in terms of confidence in the teaching, in terms of results, in terms of testimonials. And from there, you parlay that into higher prices. At some point, there'll be a pendulum, or rather like a scale, right? Where if you're down here and you're charging way too little, you get clients and it'll be easier to get clients, arguably, maybe not even easier. But as your prices go up, then at some point what happens is it starts to feel too expensive to the market. Now, where that point is not known until you hit it. And so this is the problem with one of the problems with this idea of just double your prices tomorrow. What if you double them and you go past the parity point where, because if you raise prices, you make more money. But at a certain point, when you raise prices, you get less clients. And you don't want to ever hit the point where you're charging more but making less. And that's what price parity is. It's finding that sort of sweet spot where you can keep selling the same amount but make more off of each transaction. So that's a little bit of clarity on this idea of just raise your prices tomorrow. It is whether the people saying it to you or not know it or not, it's a fairly predatory kind of thing to say to especially a naive or beginning coach, because you don't know. So that's one of the big ones. What's another big one? It's your responsibility to get the results. And I, as a coach, don't have any accountability, any responsibility in it. In other words, it's the coaches and the mentors who, when you struggle, they blame your mindset, right? You have a challenge or a struggle, and they make it about something intangible like your alignment is off or your mindset isn't right. This is a very predatory thing to do as well. I suspect that at the lower levels, it's done by coaches because they're just parroting what they've heard. But at the higher levels, these really sort of the advanced coaches, I think it's pretty predatory in a lot of cases. Now, here's the beauty of it from their perspective. You can never disprove that it's your mindset, right? So it's a way of deflecting the responsibility back on you that cannot be disproved. You can never argue, you can never prove that it isn't your mindset. Get it? And so it's one of those ones that also requires a lot of context. Now, sometimes it can be at least partly your mindset. This is true. And mindset does play a critical role in success, because the version of us that gets into coaching thinking that we have this gift and this skill set that can really help the world is not the same person and version that we'll be when we get to the point of making, I don't know, whatever your number is, 50,000, 100,000 a month, serving hundreds of clients or whatever, right? When you get to the point that you sort of envision yourself getting to, you're not going to be the same person. And fundamentally, the ways that you will have changed will be through your mindset. So Anne says pricing is all dependent on who your ideal clients are, the value of the help you provide, and the expertise you have. Yeah. It's what the market will bear, basically. And everything that Anne just said there are the constituent pieces of what your market will bear, which is why it's reckless just to say double your prices tomorrow. Okay. So as far as the deflecting back onto you when you don't get results and saying it's your mindset, that also needs greater context. Because again, sometimes it can be at least partly your mindset. And again, your mindset has to upgrade to become who you want to become. But anytime a coach or a guru or a mentor just says it's your mindset and can't walk you through processes, that's a good time to run. That's a great time to get the hell out of there. It's always, always, always when they give you these sort of pithy sort of cliches, right? These coaching world cliches. If they can't go deeper than that into processes, into a sense of the rubber meeting the road to push your ass forward, then you got to leave. Then you've got a coach, mentor, guru who's a hack. What's another popular one? Let's see. So we've covered double your prices. We've covered it's your mindset. Let's talk about, ooh, I love this one. Knowing your why. Look, let me be perfectly clear with you. Your why can be making $10,000 this month. It can absolutely be your why. Your why can be uh, proving your mom wrong or your dad wrong when they said that you didn't have value and you couldn't do it. Your why doesn't have to be this big sort of cosmic, draped in altruistic righteousness kind of a purpose. It just doesn't. Now, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. It's really important to understand that. And here's why. Because once again, this is a place where the guru crowd, the mentor crowd, the coach crowd will really manipulate you. They will really fuck you around with this idea that you've got to be sort of in alignment and know your why and have your purpose. Those things are oftentimes not as sexy as they are represented to be. I'll tell you my why right now. Okay. And before I tell you my why, my purpose, I want you to understand that I've already gone through enough of an internal process to know that in order to achieve my why, I won't do things that are out of sort of congruency with my character, my values, my ethics. Okay. So that's important to know. Once you know that, you can know that my why is to make a lot of money. And there's a reason for that. Growing up, I had creativity, I had vision, I had ideas, I had charisma, I had all these things, and I never had any money. And it was always the lack of money that was the responsible, or the reason why my ideas didn't get off the ground. Always. Sure, you Tony Robbins fans out there will say it wasn't resources, it was resourcefulness. Well, whatever. The point is this. The reason that making a lot of money is my why is because I know two things. I know two things. One of those things is from the place I'm at now, I can't imagine what like my creativity, my level of ability to dream up new things is not the same as it will be when my psychology knows that I have a lot of money at my disposal to make my dreams real, right? In other words, the guy who I am now is not going to have the same vision, the same dreams, the same goals, the same aspirations, the same desires to build and create as the guy who has $15 million. Does that make sense? That guy's going to have bigger, more exciting, more far-reaching visions. And for me, I guess my why is to be able to fully express my creativity, to fully just really like, oh, I want to start a coffee business. Well, let's do it. Oh, I want to invest in some restaurant ideas. Let's do it. You see what I'm saying? Right now, I know that there are so many more steps to those things that the first piece is making the money. And I'm not going to switch from what I'm already making money at, that all I have to do is refine to make more money, into something cold and brand new. And the other thing is, once the money starts getting better and better and better, who knows what the dreams will be, right? And my desire is to be able to express my creativity and what I want to build in this world. So making a lot of money raises the whole game. And that's what it's about for me. I hope that makes sense. I hope that tracks for you guys, because your why doesn't have to be like, some sort of sanctimonious, self-righteous, holier than thou, up at the level of the cosmos kind of a why, which a lot of coaches will get you tripped up thinking that it does. I want to share an experience with you I had at a live event. In fact, it was earlier this year. Or was it? Anyway, it was pre-COVID. But I was at this event, and we are in a small group and we are breaking down, what our goals are. And in my group was a guy who was sort of a new agey self-help guru guy. He was a guy who, you know, his whole process was in mindset and alignment and all of this stuff. And I watched as within our group, as everybody stated their goals, he asked the same question. Well, what's your why? What's your purpose? And whenever somebody would answer, he would go through the exact same process of really like gaslighting. It was really gaslighting. And what he would do was he would pick apart how they said what they said and challenge them that this word didn't seem in integrity and that word didn't seem in integrity. And then he would sort of like spin them around and around and around until they second guessed themselves. Now, this is exactly what this is Guru 101, right? It's implied the whole time he's doing this that he's got the answer for you. And whatever it costs, he's got the answer and he can sell it to you. But it's never tactical. It's never down on the ground. It's never specific. It's always this ambiguous thing. And this is the way that gurus manipulate this sort of cultural agreement, whether it's true or not, that we must have our purpose and our why before proceeding. I'm here to tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. Get your ass in gear, start marching up the hill, and along the way somewhere, you'll figure out your why and your purpose. Okay? Okay. Well, this has been fun. This has been great. There were 3 of the top fluff and air, says Anne. Yeah. I gave you 3 of the top sort of bad pieces of advice that are so common in the coaching industry. You got to know your why and your purpose, and I can sell you the answer to that. It's your mindset. If you don't get results, it's in no way my fault. It's just absolute horse diarrhea. And what was the other one? Raise your prices tomorrow. Double your prices tomorrow with no context. Look, don't be beholden to any of this crap, you guys. All you really need to build on whatever success you have and create more for yourself is absolute unrelenting certainty that come hell or high water, you're going to make it happen. You give yourself that certainty, that thing for your mind to focus on, and you'll find a way to make it happen. Thanks.